Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell y'all a little bit about my HG story with both of my girls. I'm going to try and film this before anybody else wakes up. I have one eating right here, and then I've got a couple asleep. So if you don't know, I've been babysitting for a little extra money, so I'm going to try and film this while everyone else is asleep. And I have a little bit of a break, so this way you have light and not nighttime like you have been getting the past few videos. So I do want to sit and talk about how I found out I had HG with Bella and how long it took. The thing with HG is that a lot of doctors won't take you seriously. A lot of doctors think that you're exaggerating or that things aren't as bad as you're making them seem, which isn't the case. But there are a lot of people that will go into the ER and exaggerate their symptoms for medication or exaggerate their symptoms for attention or things like that. That was not the case with me. So to have doctors look at you and tell you, I don't think there's anything wrong, it's just morning sickness, was frustrating. Because you know when something's wrong with your body, and I knew. So with her, our biggest issue was I was so sick all the time. With HG, you have constant nausea. You never get a break. There's not a second of the day that you think, oh, I feel great. Every second of every day is nausea. Even when I wasn't throwing up in the last trimester, I was still sick. Really, really sick. So the issue with that was that it was hard to eat. My third trimester, I finally started gaining a little bit of weight back. I lost a lot of weight with Bella, and I lost a lot of weight with Ellie. If you want to hear how much I lost, then you can go back and look at my Q&A video. But I'm not going to go through all of that again on here, since I'm sure you have already heard it. But I did lose quite a bit of weight and barely gained any back. So I was lower than my pre-pregnancy weight giving birth. So it's not exactly healthy for your body, but the baby is always fine with HG. The nutrients they get end up coming from your muscles and your bones and taking away from your fat storage and your body. So it's rough on the mom. So my teeth are bad now. If you don't know, I need like 15 fillings because the stomach acid from puking so much completely receded my gums. So I have to get all of that filled because there's no enamel. And all of this down here, I have to get it all filled down to my gums. So there's a lot that has to be filled in. I got these top 3 done, but I still have a lot to go, and it was like $500 for 3 teeth, so it's going to take a while to be able to get them all done. But that was just from 2 babies with puking almost every day, all day long. Definitely in the first and second trimesters with both, I was throwing up at least every 5 minutes, every 30 at the most if I was lucky. So with Bella, how we found out that I had HG was that my doctor wasn't taking me seriously. I was severely dehydrated. We were in Searcy, we weren't in Jonesboro anymore. We were just down here visiting family before we went back to college for just the weekend, and we were down here, and I was like, I feel horrible. I feel like I can't hardly move. My body feels so weak. I feel like I'm dying is what it felt like. And so I went into the ER, and they gave me fluids and electrolytes, and I had to do that about every other day for the rest of my pregnancy. So what happens is you throw up so much that you get dehydrated. If you're puking the amount that I was, you're almost instantly dehydrated as soon as you get home. So I felt great. I would normally go in like at night, so like evening time, and then I felt great the rest of that night. I would still throw up, but I would feel better until the next day. And so the next day it was right back to I feel weak and I don't feel good and just constant throwing up. So that was hard. And I have been on every anti-nausea medication you can dream of, and none of them helped, not even in the slightest. Some IV medications helped, like Zofran through an IV helped a little. If I went into the ER, I would always ask, could you push some Zofran while I'm waiting on my fluids to go in? Like, can I get something so that I don't throw up while I'm in the ER? That always helped a little, maybe for 10 minutes. I wouldn't throw up. But it was hard. That was really, really hard. And then finally, when I was in the ER here in Searcy, the ER doctor came in and he said, has anyone diagnosed you with hyperemesis gravidarum? And I said, no. What is that? And he had to explain it to me and tell me what it was. And he said it just wasn't normal morning sickness. And I could have cried hearing that, because everyone was so not mean, but thinking I was being dramatic, or thinking that it was me and not a real sickness. So HG is something that's not talked about a lot. It doesn't have a ton of research behind it. There's no cure for it. There's nothing that will help you really, except for nausea medication. But if that doesn't help, then you just have to stick it out until the end. So it's what I had to do, just stick it out. If you reach the point where you are becoming, like, to the point of malnutrition, then they'll admit you to the hospital. They'll put a stomach tube in. Sometimes, if you have the right doctor and the right insurance, they'll pay for home health. So you can get like a Zofran pump attached to your stomach. You just have to change the entry site several times a day. So I never had to have that done, but it was mentioned. He did mention a Zofran pump in my first trimester with Ellie, but I said no. But that was just personal preference. So that was just me, though. I just didn't want to have to deal with that. I hear a baby. I'm going to go and grab this baby really fast. Alright, the babies are asleep. Bella's awake now. She's eating a snack, so she's going to be loud. She's always loud. Anyway, I did want to get back into what I was talking about. I think I left off with the Zofran pump, so that was recommended to me, but I chose not to, just because I had a toddler at home and I wanted to be completely mobile, and it was just my choice. I decided I didn't want to do that I would just stick to oral Zofran, and if it helped, it helped. If it didn't, it didn't, and it didn't. So there's that. We tried all kinds of different things. Nothing ever helped me, except for fluids helped me for a little while, and then I was just bad again. So that's how things went with Ellie's, really. Was just hit and miss. Am I going to be sick today or not? It wasn't as bad as Bella's was. With Bella's pregnancy, I seriously lived by the toilet. Lived by it. The entire pregnancy. Jed was having to take me to the ER every night or every other night for fluids. And then we had preterm labor issues because of all the puking, and it was just causing stomach contractions and stuff like that. And it was just it was a big issue. And then I went into preterm labor and they had to stop it with a magnesium drip. It was just hard. That was a hard pregnancy. I think I stopped puking every day at like 25 weeks. And with Ellie, I think I stopped puking every day at like 27 weeks, something like that. So still threw up, but it wasn't every day, which was nice. But like I said, with HG, there's just that constant nausea. Even in your third trimester, even in your second, it's just like you always feel like you're about to throw up. Like you're always holding down puke. And it was just hard. It was really hard, and it's a very lonely thing to have because, like I said, people are just rude, and people don't believe you, or people think that you're exaggerating, or that you just want the attention from it, and that's not the case. Really, what you need is someone to connect with and someone to tell you that it's going to be okay, or to come and help you. With Bella, with Ellie, I had Bella here at home, and I was a stay-at-home mom, so I was here alone all the time, and it was horrible. You can go back onto my Facebook and look at how bad I was. I lived in like a bat cave. My room had to be completely dark. And that's the thing with HG, is that each person has certain triggers. It's normally sensory things. So Bella touching my leg would make me puke. Her screaming and being loud would make me throw up. Lights, any kind of light, made me sick. Just loud noise. We would go to church, and they would start worship and playing music, and I would have to run to the bathroom and throw up because I would get sick. So we eventually had to stop going to church because I was so ill that I could not go. I was spending most of the service in the bathroom rather than in service, so we just stayed home. I was so sick. What else set me off? The lights. Pretty sure I said that, but we had to put room darkening curtains on our windows, and I had to have all the lights off. I couldn't even look at the iPad for too long or the TV for too long because it would make me throw up. Talking would make me puke. Jed would ask me a question, and I would throw up. If we were ever in the car, I would be sick. I couldn't go anywhere, and I couldn't do anything because I was so ill constantly all the time, and it was debilitating. It was rough, and trying to do that with a toddler when they want to play and they want to scream and they want to run around and they want you to interact with them, and I was stuck in bed, sick as a dog. Really. So it was just hard, and I wish that more people understood it and that more people would reach out to women having a hard time with that, instead of saying things like, have you tried ginger, or have you tried this medicine, or have you tried peppermint oil? Like, I promise, if their last resort is posting on Facebook saying that they are so sick, and that they need help, they've tried all the things. They don't need C-bands. They don't need the things that don't work. They just need someone to help them and tell them it's going to be okay, because it will. It's just a long pregnancy. So that's what I encourage people to do, is just to be there if you know someone that has been diagnosed with HG, or someone that hasn't been. If their doctors aren't listening to them, like my first doctor did not, then what is it? Eat. Let me go get her something else really quick. Okay, got her some Cheetos. I'm not sure really where I left off. I kind of forgot, but I encourage people to just be there. Be there for your friends and family if you know that they're going through this. If you have heard of HG and they haven't, I've met a lot of women who had never even heard of it, and I've had a lot of women message me and say, what was it like, because I think I have it. And sometimes you have to be your own advocate to your doctor. Sometimes you have to bring something up to them and say, hey, have you thought about this? And sometimes they'll say, no, it's not that, and that's okay, but being your own advocate is very, very important, especially when you're pregnant. I remember whenever I went into preterm labor with Bella, the Friday before I went into preterm labor, I went in thinking I had a UTI that had turned into a kidney infection. That's what it felt like, because I've had those before, and that's what it was like. And she's really chowing down over here. Anyway, that's what it felt like. And so I went into the doctor's office and I talked to the nurse and I was like, hey, I think I have a kidney infection. I'm having some really bad contractions, because UTIs can cause contractions, if you didn't know that. So they monitored my contractions and she was like, you're having really strong contractions, but we don't think it's anything serious. If they get worse, then just come back. She was like, but seriously, just take some Tylenol and a warm bath, and then, you should be fine. And I told her, I was like, I really don't want to leave here because I feel like something's wrong. And then the very next day, I went into preterm labor. But you know your body, and you know when something's up. And something was up. So sometimes you have to be the one to be like, hey, have you considered HG? Do you think I have HG? Or, like, I had pelvic girdle pain, and whenever I went in, he was like, well, it's really normal for women to have uncomfortableness in their pelvis at this time. And I was like, I'm 16 weeks, and it's to the point where I cannot even get out of bed. I could not stand on one foot. I just couldn't get down the stairs. I couldn't do anything because the pain was debilitating. And so I had to ask him, I was like, have you thought about pelvic girdle pain? They call it something else now, like SPD or something like that. But, yeah. And he was like, you might be right. And he tried to refer me to a physical therapist. So there's that. Sometimes you just have to be the one to bring it up. A lot of times they have a lot on their mind, and they try to take each person personally, but most of the time it's going to be a walk-in, walk-out visit. And when you bring something up like that, like, hey, I've been throwing up, and you're only like 18 weeks, they're just going to say, well, by 20 weeks it should be better, or something like that. But you have to tell them, it's to the point where I can't even get out of the bathroom before I throw up again and again and again. So be your own advocate. If you have friends or family that are going through it, please talk to them, help them, do their dishes. I could not touch our dishes. You can ask Jed. Our house looked like a dang pigsty for almost my whole pregnancy with Ellie. It looked terrible because I couldn't clean it. Even walking made me sick. So I don't have many tips for HG. If you're watching this and you have it, I don't have many tips. One of my biggest ones is ice, which sounds strange, but eat it. Which sounds strange, but putting some ice in a washcloth and holding it up against your mouth can stop you from throwing up. So you'll still deal with the nausea. I have not found anything that'll take the nausea away when it's as severe as it is with HG. It is constant nausea no matter what you do. Some days may be better than others, but you're still nauseous. But the ice will keep you from throwing up. Also, standing in front of a fan, or if you're in the car and you're getting sick, turn the AC all the way up, fans on high, and stick your face right in front of it. Just let it blow on you, and sometimes that will keep you from puking. So I guess that's it. Also, quiet. If someone's talking to you and you're starting to get sick, just be nice, but tell them, like, just hang on for just a second. Close your eyes. It's a sensory thing, so just shut your eyes for the light. Kind of just like go into your own calm space and just breathe for a second. Don't try and talk. Maybe sit down and just wait it out for just a second. Laying down always helped me, which is funny when you're in a place like Walmart. But yeah, that's really my only tip. I have, not that I can think of anything that helped me. So ice is really great, and when you're puking all the time, make sure you're putting in something that you don't mind coming back up. I ate an apple and threw it back up once, and you only do that once. That was disgusting, and it hurt. So no apples, don't do that. Nothing acidic, because that's very, 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 very gross. And cut dairy out of your diet. No milk, no cheese, yogurt, nothing like that, because the dairy can cause your stomach to be upset. It can cause you to puke. So no soups with dairy, like no potato soup or anything like that, but just like broths and very, very dry things like crackers or toast, dry toast, maybe a little bit of butter, maybe avocado toast. That'll help. I don't like avocados, but it was recommended to me several times. Bananas. I lived off of bananas. And that's about it. There are people that say there are things that your body can't possibly throw up, but I've thrown them up. So don't listen to everything people say. Take everything with a grain of salt and find what works for your body. I lived off of bananas. I lived off of salt and vinegar chips, because the vinegar really helps. So yeah, I guess that's all I really lived off of. And lemon heads, which is silly, but the sour really helped me stop from throwing up. I can't really think of anything else. So I guess that's it. Oh, chewing ice. Not just holding it on your mouth, but throughout the day to keep yourself a little bit hydrated. If you're able to keep ice down, then just chew on some ice. I was not able to keep water down. I wasn't able to keep ice down, but just continuously push liquids anyway. It doesn't matter if you're throwing it up. Keep drinking your water. I know you're going to think, well, I'm just going to throw it right back up, but it doesn't matter. Some of it will stay in your body. Some of it will get in you. It might not be enough to keep you hydrated, but it'll be enough that you'll be okay, and you can get to the hospital when you're dehydrated, and you can help yourself. So that's my story with HG. It wasn't as bad with Ellie, though I was still sick. It was harder with her, but the sickness wasn't as bad. It was harder with her just because I had a toddler to chase around while I was sick. I'm thinking that that's it on my story, really. I went through a lot with HG and would not recommend, but it was definitely life-changing, and now I have a completely different perspective on morning sickness and what I can tell my friends and family that are going through the same thing that I went through. And now I know how to help them, and now I know if I were to ever be pregnant again, now I know how to handle it in an effective way that isn't me laying in the bed 24/7. So if you have any questions, or you need a friend, if you don't have anyone and you need somebody because you're so sick, I'm here. I'm here for questions. If you have any questions about HG, I can probably answer all of them from the extensive research I've had to do, because I was sick and I wanted to find an answer, but there is no answer. It's just, you're sick because you're sick, and it takes a while to get over it, but you'll be okay. And I was okay. I lost a lot of weight. I'm gonna do a weight update on here this week, and what I'm looking like now versus what I looked like whenever I was pregnant, and show y'all that. But honestly, my entire belly was just water weight. As soon as I had her, I lost all the weight. So in fact, the day I had her, I was back to my pre-pregnancy weight, and then now I'm like 10 pounds lighter than my pre-pregnancy weight. So I weigh what I weighed in high school, which that's crazy. I never thought I'd weigh what I weigh now again. But like I've told a ton of people, I would have rather gained 100 pounds. Hey, hey, hey. Eat it. Bite. I would have rather gained 100 pounds with both kids. Stop it, baby. You're okay. Eat your Cheeto. Than to have lost all the weight and not been able to eat anything. So, stop it. So, I'm going to go take care of her because she is grumpy. And I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.